Call that the concision of the normal life of men, and the principle observe work of reality. Reality is there to contain or be put in a conscious to establish a background frame to establish a conscious into reality. Gives concept to matter or materialistic aspect of thing. Universe, the earth and the universe. So the earth, the universe, is a program, as you will, to background frame to create a video game for men to participate experiential wise that reality, giving birth to a conscience, giving birth to life for what life is, and be joined for the temporal and the eternal aspect of it. So it's like you're living your consciousness. And when you regard the pure concise work of your pure identity, if you speak biological wise, it's your aspect of survival. And if you think about it soul wise, it's the position of your heart towards the regarded reality. So to mainly pinpoint the difference or the attachment or the particularities, the concision, the joint in between consciousness and reality, which is hard base, moral base, that is joined together with the aspect of justice in that consciousness. And differed or reflected in your heart, since not birth but comprehension that you are part of that reality, has the apparition of your existential question. What is the use of that reality? Knowing that there's an immense particularity in reality, which is the basement of consciousness related by a demand of understanding of a justice. Your heart wants to establish itself into justice. We have inside of us violent motion that push us towards work to accomplish the ideology, perform of the imagery of what a good man is for the satisfaction of the heart. That's how we are geared as men. We're desired of good work. We want to do good. We know that doing good is a good thing. And to embetter life is to ameliorate things. Because your heart loves your body because it hates pain. So it wants to be comfortable. Because we're naked. And that's where the motion comes in, that no, you're going to have to perform your intelligence as a man. Because you're not geared for nature. I put it in your face, you're not part of that reality. You have a consciousness that throws you right apart. You have an ability of the mind that is proportional to my grandeur as God, the creator that created all that reality and created it perfect. Therefore, if you're intelligent, you're intelligent and you do comprehended logic things, you don't touch nothing in your regard here. And you try to do your best to stay alive. Therefore, being on the same scale as an animal, and you can solution a very comfortable life on earth without having to chip the stone. But we decided to chip the stone. And we decided to create a chimera, a distortion of reality that reflects what we think hope should look like. So being mainly or primarily programmed on the basic fact of no pain, prioritize body because it's the only thing that you really seem to be owning for yourself down here. It's your biological robot that contain a program. And that being keeping that robot alive for an equity with life, as it only seemed by the mean of transforming reality or to adapt reality by changing it for the reason of your comfort. Surviving for a man that is rigged with intelligence, having a material reality in front of him that he can transform and discover and puts you in a place that your basic satisfaction are getting very rapidly and efficiently suffice for. You live in a home and there's a refrigerator in that home. So to augment the time that you have for utilizing the mind power that is part of the equipment of the flesh that you're born in. So you end up with a lot of time to be able to take care of yourself and establish the ideology that you want. Even though it's a complex one, you can achieve it and attain marvelous work in reality by your moving things, way of doing things. And that usually falls on bigger money at the end of the year. And working towards establishing a place in society. And so to create an identity. And that place in society is the good man that you have thought would be happy in. And that part of that conceived reality of the insatisfaction of your natural laws, that your the natural way things roll down here. They roll a certain way and we don't roll the same way. There's no animal paving with asphalt and running cars on that asphalt. It's only for human and soon for our artificial intelligence. So it's reality is to be regarded as the work of man in his ideology of the ability of compounding moral value and intelligence. And that reflect that easily you perceive that easy in reality, that's the base of respect. That you demand the authorization before it's okay to you to bring a concept overboard and create out of that concept. And it's salvation relay on the fact of acknowledging the simple matter that the natural laws are perfect. The visualization of what I installed for how life should work itself down here is presented by the same kind of animal that you're trapped in. You're part of that same Mother Nature biosphere that the animal are in. Then you comprehend that God, by giving you those moral value, is to create some kind of an accordance for an accommodation of the ability of the systematization of your moral value into a similar conceptivity as what the natural laws present you in a reflectories of things. And you regard your competitivity as a man that is transferred from nature, from your desire of survival nature, but provided with an intelligence being able to analyze that aspect of nature that is competition based for the survival of the fittest in many ways. You gotta eat another one to be able to survive. And that's pretty harsh. That's a reality that's pretty harsh. But if you confound that in the intelligence and the moral value of men, it always put a weird in this, like, you okay it because it's what nature is, but it's never fun to look at a beast eating a dough and seeing that dough freaking out trying to get out of there. And I mean, it's not cool to see all that. It's bad. It comes and touch our moral value. And you look at the other animals, right on, it's him, it's not me. But we don't have that. Hey, it's my friend. Understand quick the concept that with the bunch we can destroy any problem. We just have to get together and there's no more wolf problem. As a man, because we're way more intelligent than any beast, even though they pack up to attack. If you're more in number as a man, they don't attack. They're screwed. They know it. We're godly that manner. They know we're way smarter than we are. We in fear. We produce fear on all the kingdom down here. Everybody's scared of us to a certain extent. So to regard the aspect of competition with the reflection of the ability of compassion through our moral value that are fully balanced ideological wise for the moral misunderstanding of that natural law of the fittest. We're unpleased with it because we don't want to be that dough. We fear death. When we see death, it makes us way more uncomfortable than the other animals or the other things than human. And tree don't seem to mind too much, but where that sense come from, that's very quickly perceived as the desire of the mind to try to put together a certain systematic that would grab all of those substance together, putting through vocabulary that explanation of what a soul is. And I mean, for if you don't perceive and regard and have an interest for a certain spiritual aspect of things, that you can't really pinpoint what a ghost or UFO or poltergeist is, but you can't explain it with the law you can perceive out of a pure materialistic brain. But the materialistic aspect has been so implanted in us that now we have generations of people that thinks that there's nothing else but matter in here. Reality only contains matter. And maybe pushed to that extreme, that kind of ether, that they can't go much further than naming it. Nobody really knows what that ether is, but they know that there's that power all around us. That free power that if you would know how to tap in, yeah, there you go. So there's other things that are contained in reality, but there's not that many things that are contained in the soul. The soul has a power of analyzing its situation and its environment, mind power intake, and then the ability of rounding up and finding solution and comprehension and the ability of reflection within deep mind to put things together that you have perceived out of reality, and all that to work a solution for where the heart stand in that reality, put you on ideology that has to do with a mental systematization of trying to explain a certain justice in a reality that you don't quite understand. And to put that simply, you go to work every morning and you don't really know why, because you hate that every morning and you have the feeling that you're wasting your life. It's kind of the idea behind all that. That you work for a reality that really you hate. And the only way that you can be kind of happy with it, if you look at it coldly, is to be efficient in your power of competitivity. And you really in that system on pure animalistic drives. And you go and compete the world. Or you, just as an instance to create right there a parallel, if you would want to function into that world, you want to run a business in Babylon and you're fully Christian and good with business and can put money out and all that, everybody would every employees in that company would know exactly all the numbers of that company. That company would be treated as they are, it's owned by everybody, and everybody knows exactly what happened for that company, and everybody works for that uncheated number that you present. Everybody knows in the company what that company is, and they work for it, knowing the profit, knowing everything. Everybody takes everything about it, everything with books open. You run a company like that. You run a you run a Christian company. That's how a Christian company runs. Nobody runs a company like that, so you have it. Nobody runs, but it would work. I'm convinced it would work because good always prevails. But that's what we want as a human. We want some kind of an appartenancy, of an idea that is bigger than us. If we have created the ideology of a good man, we want to create great things. So you create great things for the satisfaction of the ideology you imagine for yourself. So it's a pure product of imagination. Everything that is distorted, synthesized, transformed by man is the reflection of that idea of non-satisfaction of your natural abilities. And then you say what you do with your intelligence if you're not to embed a reality with it. And that's where in a sense that I'm gonna get lost with that. That's where the things are so, in a way, put in your face, but you don't see it. That the most precious thing that a man has is another man. And the more men's he can communicate in depth with, the more that's what create richness. And when you're, and that's why when they pretty much only had books of the Bible right and left to read on in the old time, plus the few manuscripts hidden of magical power and things like that didn't make any real sense, and then philosopher and all that. But they didn't have the car distraction and the computer and the tablet. They only had each other, so they were able to enter in deep discussion, creating guys like Plato and all those older Greek guys that had pretty cool concept when you regard it, because I mean the Bible is one way of seeing things, but if you're not saved, the Bible is kind of, it's a big nonsense for you to read. It means nothing. You need to be born again to be able to comprehend what the Bible offers. The whole thing is in sometimes you have the whole history of the world in 3 verses. And with those 3 verses, a guy could understand what needs to be done down here. Incredible power if you look at the way it's really written. It's the same message over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that makes it awesome because you fit with the vocabulary in a way. It's an expansion of what the vocabulary offered in detailing better and better reality for what reality is. And that's your power of mind. The real reality in the world is your power of mind. To me, when I write, like if power of mind, it's all over my Bible. Power of mind. Everything is power of mind. Man is power of mind. The earth is power. The universe is power of mind. It's bathing in intelligence. But when you regard an animal, whoop, it drops out of that category. It purely follows the program. It doesn't have that creative aspect into them. They create the program they're working with. They built a nest. That's it. They don't They don't create tablet. They don't build tablet. We build tablet. So that's the power of the mind. That's the whole essence of that reality. When you perceive that as being a reality by itself, you have concise what eternal is in the relationship of to a certain extent, idea don't die, good or bad. Because they're purely built out of logic. Because if it's not logic, you won't be able to establish a realistic system down here. To be a realistic system, it needs to be logic. It needs to be coherent. If it's not coherent, it doesn't work. Everything's working like that, and the whole balance of Mother Nature is balance on logic. All the laws are logic, and they all follow mathematical equation. You might not explain all of them, but we can see that they're regular. We can attest that everything we regard is regular, and that's God's grace. That in reality, whatever you regard, it's part of reality. Therefore, it's true because it needs to be logic to be attested in reality. Guarantee you that your best wooded connecting rod in an engine, it won't work. Even though you use the best wood ever, it doesn't work in an engine as a connecting rod. It's not logic. Won't work. It's not produced. It's not repeated. It's a bad idea because it's not logic. Doesn't follow Mother's natural law. That's all there is to it. And we have with if you want to regard reality as it is, we're building a wooden engine. So whatever. It's gonna burn. It's gonna burn. And it's really that. It's a wooden engine. It's Antichrist. It's the building of wood. Wood being flesh, being the structure of establishing your life. That tree of life. your ideology. That's wood. That's you at that level. That's why you're tree, your life. You're systematic. You're branched. You're concise. You stand on one trunk. That trunk is that perceived identity that is regarded by everybody. That's your presentation. That's the presentation of your entity. It's your sideways cap with your special stickers in your car and all that stuff. That's your trunk. That's who you are. You're part of that member. You're that forest. You're that street gang. You're 1/3 of that forest. It's the idea kind of thing. How the Bible works. That it's repeated over and over and over and over again. That really the only three motions that happen in your mind in reality is perceiving reality, analyzing reality to produce a state of heart towards reality. That last part is very much your distorted opinion of what man has achieved for justice in that society. That's why you live better in a just country and you live poorly in a rotten country. And it's more or less with the amount of that, and I would not relate that ideology with the amount of material you possess. Very not much about that at all, but very much more about the quality of your social network, how people are holding themselves together, and how they can manifest a certain accordance in a discipline, discipline, and in accordance for its good reason. Discipline. A people that would live truthfully. So, in a manner, that would be a society that would encourage discussion of diversity in a spectrum of intelligence and real discernment. And there you go. You end up into those society like Plato has been, like all those society that probably a lot of people are seeing as the golden era, where you had such an efficient society around you that you could spend humongous of time just having discussion with each other. Golden era, all right. That's exactly what a golden era would be. An intelligent discussion. So a discussion that are heart based, because the reason of life is heart. The base of moral is your the feeling of affliction you receive out of the regard of an injustice. You perceive an injustice and it afflicts your heart, and it is that feeling that is the key down here on earth. And if you can transfer that feeling into your own state of being here, comprehending that nothing belongs to you, and everything that you use out of matter to install anything into yourself, and comprehend, in a way, it's simply to comprehend that you're biological and soul. So biological is really not that big part of the equation. You're mostly soul, and in soul you have intelligence and heart, and those two are eternal. The only thing is that after that you don't have reality to use your mind. Your mind becomes useless because you don't have any reality to inject into. And that's why when you die, in reality, what the only thing that remains is the state in what your mind have left your heart. And that would be the amount of comprehension that you have received while participating into reality. What have you perceived of reality? When you died, have you figured out a way where you could explain that everything was perfect? That you have found truth? That you have comprehended reality? That you have conceived the substance of what was needed for you along your life to be confident at that point of death? That you have built the things of heaven? That you have comprehended the work of what reality poses as a problem? You have understood the maze of what reality present solely by perceiving reality in a different way, in a different perspectivity, but a perspectivity that is perfect as it render perfect justice. And that can be taught because it must be logic, because the whole thing is established into comprehending it. So if you want to comprehend reality, you have to start with the base that you find verity at regarding any truth, at regarding any reality. That reality, in a way, is truth. However you want to regard it, it's always truth. And to understand that what really happened about truth is the perspectivity of it by different people, because they have created their own understanding of what reality is. They didn't have created a reasonable one that reason and justice. They have found how to establish justice down here. Therefore, an ability to perform the right work, to work with that justice, to work with the natural aspect of what the divine laws are, and to work your life intelligently. That it doesn't matter what you do, where you are, how you are presented towards this particular reality that is the universe. The performance of your life is purely based in intelligence. by comprehending better the work of that reality. And the main aspect of that reality, when you receive new birth, is to be able to conceptualize that everybody is evil. Everybody is evil other than the ones that are saved in the past. Because before your salvation, you were evil. And that's very much what you perceive first, is how to distinguish the two. Oh, I'm not evil anymore. Not because I'm good or bad or anything like that. Because I didn't comprehend the essence of my life. I didn't comprehend the work of reality on my life. And now I caught it. I caught it because when I get through that realization of that simpler and most obvious reality regarded, enabling comprehension of it, generating that feeling of conviction. And that now, from now on, since you have truth in your hands and you comprehend the mechanism of reality, you can use that truth to test it now and see the result of it. And extremely simply posed, see the effect of saying truth being generally hated. People hate truth. They don't want to hear about it. They hate it. That gives you the gauge that gives you confidence that you're saying it, because people hate it. As a basic, extremely simple aspect of it. Because that becomes hope once you get the idea of that eternal life. Because when you disconnect from Satan, you understand that the whole manifestation of the identity that you were before your heart change was directly connected to evil, even though you had the best intentions in life. They were directly connected to evil. If you want to catch it from the other side, look at your body and you get a scratch. If you think you can operate and bring back that thing into a perfect state by working it, you'll bleed to death. You have to stop play with it at one point and look at it healed. And that's a natural process that you can't explain, and it won't happen until you let it do its thing by its own. It's pretty simple concept. I mean, it's pretty obvious in your face. So if you want to do a good thing with God, freaking stop touching. Stop touching. Produce kids and produce shit, and that's it. Don't produce nothing. Don't create yourself an environment that necessitate your whole life of work dumped into it. I work. I find the stupidest work I can establish that kind of, in a way, satisfy myself. And I'd be satisfied cutting lawns. I just don't want to have to think at work. I don't want to have to think about anything that would have to do with the work that I'm doing once I'm finished working. And while I'm working, if I don't have an ability of getting information in my head, the news, the Bible, the conspiracy theory, whatever, getting informed with my earmuffs and listening to stuff while I work, because my work is easy, I don't have to think, then I don't want your stupid job. If I have to apply my mind to my job, I don't want it. Present me with whatever money. I don't care for it. I don't care for that stuff anymore. I want to be fed out of it, and that's it. Because I don't need things in life anymore. I did all that, and it provided nothing. Never understood life out of that. Never understood reality out of that. A lot of fun, a lot of ability with my body and all that. Pretty cool. Adrenaline is a cool drug. I smoke dope now because I'd be hooked on the freak. I mean, it puts me in the freaking thinking zone. That my flesh don't need nothing anymore, so I can think with my head straight. Because my flesh is satisfied and out of the way, and like, get the heck out, flesh. Now I gotta think straight here. It started from another point. Very easy to perceive. 53, that'll be the last point. Your identity is your enemy. That's the proof that you're connected with the devil. Because when you understand the futility of your life, unless you have a life that produces truth, you won't have any envy to perform in it. And then you don't have envy to perform in any work that is demanded of you, because you don't want more responsibility or anything that you have to start thinking for. Because you don't need things. I need my weed that is cheap, because then I can spend hours in my Bible going through coloring pen, so it costs me coloring pen. And $2 a month of coloring pen. No, more than that. $2 every 2 weeks. I don't need dirt bike. I don't need that adrenaline anymore. I don't need to satisfy myself. I discover that my opinion was of zero value. That not only that, but I'm grossed. I'm self-grossed by the idea of trying to pose an opinion for myself. What is your favorite color? I don't eat all. What the heck do I care? What is your best Bible verse? I no idea, man. No idea. Anyone but John 3:16. That's all there is to it. Because that verse have screwed our the base of is the base of the lie. John 3:16, the misinterpretation of it, and it's very easy to. So the futility of your life being acknowledged by the supreme estate, which is the estate of comprehension, of the spiritual warfare that is played on you by having the complete generation of human being born in that state of sin that makes them evil possessed, not for the fact that they are evil, for the fact that they don't understand the basic principle of their own life, how they absolutely work in reality. To discover that ideal, any ideal that are related for self is kind of that realm that is part of the devil. That somehow reality is for self, for what reality presents you with. Your soap dish and your toothbrush and your car. That's all part of reality. And you take that like, yeah, well, fuck, I need a toothbrush for sure. Never generating more mind power than that. And then to a point to understand that intelligence is forbidden to that stuff. That your intelligence is not for matter, it's for other people's heart. You have to develop your golden hand, your way of manifesting the spirits on people if you want to start talking that way. Because you have a spirituality, you have a way of systematizing truth, creating your own reality, creating your spirituality, creating your identity. They're all synonyms. It's all the same stuff. We captured nothing into our brain but what our sense are limiting us to perceive. That to put us in a certain situation, an ability of being able to systematize moral laws within that reality through the mean of perspectivity of that reality towards the work of finding a perfect justice out of it, of its conceivedness. Pinpointing in the consciousness substance which the biological entity has nothing to do with. Your consciousness wants one thing. What is the servitude of life? Because I have a strange impression that after that, it's not totally done yet. No, dumbass, it's eternal. It's completely eternal, forever. It's forever for everybody, whatever you are. It's forever. And the and the solution is so simple, in the manner that it's the only way that reality can be comprehended. It's through a logical systematic. And it's a bummer that logic needs to be morally accepted. Not in a state of lie, but in a state of franchise. And you go and get your franchise through the concision by going back to the basic. And it's only by going back to the basic that you can find that the basic are foul. And that's what God tells you. You're going to be born cursed. You have to break out of that curse. So if you're a normal person all your life, you're screwed. You never broke out of that curse. And it's pretty simple. You have missed it for the reason that you have effectuated the spirit. You have done your ideology. You have worked what you think is good to be worked. Therefore, creating your own reality. You didn't work what was true to be worked, what was right, what was just to be worked. Then when you understand that in a manner you have nothing to do with that biological entity. God has the hold of it. You're not deciding nothing about it. That's God's stuff. That's reality stuff. What you have for yourself is your comprehension. The state of conviction of the reason of your doings down here. And the doings that needs to be established for yourself is to comprehend reality, to comprehend the essence of life, to comprehend what you're here for. That's when you understand the real concept of what love is and confirm. It's a diagnosis of that reality. It has nothing to do with an emotional state of thing. It's not. Love is not emotion other than conviction. That's why you're one flesh with your wife, because you're convinced with your wife you become one flesh. The substance of life being conviction. Conviction that your heart have found in the right reason of why reality exists. And the mechanism is there to be discerned in observing reality and changing the perspectivity of it. It's all about the perspectivity of it. It's the fabrication of your mind of what reality is. And you know in the bottom of your heart that reality needs to be true somehow, needs to render justice, and there you go. That's the road. That's what the Bible says. Look for truth. Truth is Jesus. Look for Jesus. Jesus is truth. You need to find truth to be able to navigate reality. If you don't know the purpose of reality, you don't know truth. You need to know what is the purpose of that reality to be able to discern truth. Within truth, to be able to apply truth, to realize that truth is true. That's all the phenomenon of hope once you have perceived what truth is. Because you can apply it in the world and check the result of it. And you have all your life now to. That's what it means. Steer the spirit. Get into conversation with people about those matter of reality, presenting a logic comprehensible solution for all of it. Working your brain towards that, how reality is conceived. Oh, it might be a matrix. Yeah, well, that be. Think about that. The Matrix movie was pretty dead on. You're bathing in verity. You're everything that is manifested around you is pure verity. You just have to regard it the right way. And if you want a biblical way to look at the solution, at the primary roots of it, is reason into emotion that amplify the disgust towards it for the complete inefficiency and wall creating toward any kind of realistic aspect of a chance for a conceptivity of hope other than the manifestation of creating things out of reality. And that's pinpointing to the end times when the Antichrist will offer otherwise, breaking the covenant that we won't need to suffice ourselves out of that iron cage that we have created that is called society. It'll be taught to you how, through the computer, you can use and harvest out of that ether a state of perfect being and no demand. That you're always fed, you don't need to shit or piss, and then you'll realize you won't be able to have baby with that. That's what I think will happen. But for the first part of it, that's a no-brainer. That's gonna happen. We're gonna be completely sufficiently fed for everything out of a nap on your phone if things are not that more advanced with a click in your brain directly implanted in your brain and internet. Those technology are right there. Because the whole thing enters into us. Whoa, okay, bye-bye. We'll stop with that. Because I just popped another discussion for another hour.